people that got to do it back in the day, they get to do it again with a new set of friends and a new set of community. And for me, that's classic, is going back and reliving those moments that you had.
And so I think really focusing on how do we continue building those sorts of interactions, those sorts of natural places to create connections with other players.
Not originally introduced in the game until 3.3. That was Ice Cream Citadel, the last of our patches. So we've been very, very clear that we're not, like, from the beginning of when we were thinking about graph plans, that we were not going to introduce RFD before 3.4.3. That was like, definitely we're not doing it.
Sometimes Blizzard make it really difficult for me to know what I'm meant to take serious and what I'm not. When you have an update about Wrath of the Lich King and its future, and even one of the community managers are talking about hardcore servers, look at where he had his little hip replacement. Hair starting to grow back. But then you know you've got to worry. If you don't like or understand the tone of this video, then I'll tell you now, it is going to be steeped in sarcasm. And mainly because it's very difficult to know how to take this. When I say it's difficult to take this, it's more the fact that there's a lot of contradiction from Blizzard's end on what they want. There was some genuinely interesting thoughts and comments in this community council get together, but it largely felt like forced open communication to limit the negative feelings surrounding the WoW token, to the point where they basically open up the council meeting talking about the WoW token. I'm not even going to cover that here because quite honestly, I'm one of the only content creators that just don't care. It has practically zero impact on how I play the game, which is ultimately playing the game to log on and raid on multiple characters every week. So I'm not going to spread negative vibes around it for clickbait or drama when honestly, I couldn't care less whether it's in the game or not. Its arrival, however, was inevitable. It was just when that arrival occurred. If I was to say one thing though, it's that dropping massive bombs like the WoW token on the game in the way that they did is what strikes a nerve. They say it was a decision they didn't arrive at lightly, which suggests many internal conversations about it. That just seems shady, Blizz. Tell the players this is happening and then put it in. Even though it's still going to have people not want it, others like me who don't care, and then others who do want it. At least by the time it's added, all the drama around it has started to settle a little bit. But anyway, what was this community council meeting about? Before we get into that, I just want to thank Warcraft Tavern for sponsoring yet another video. More on those at the end, but if you can't wait and you want class guides, profession guides, and whatever else, every other guide you can think of, there's a link in the description to their website anyway.
Is there any decision about RDF changing or being added to the game?
So I'll kind of split this question up because there's two parts to it. One is really what we're looking at right now for this upcoming patch that's in PTR, and then the next is the hotter topic of RDF. So specifically for this new difficulty, I'm not sure if you've seen it in PTR, but we have made a bunch of improvements to our current LFG tool, such that it actually splits up and breaks out all of the different difficulties of the Titan Rune dungeons and the heroic dungeons, such that it's much easier in terms of visibility as well as kind of searchability to say, hey, I want to go do alpha or I want to go do beta, and these are the actual groups that have been set up or people that are looking for those difficulties. So combine that with what we just talked about with the sidereal essences, as well as with TOC coming out and players needing more emblems. We're kind of hoping that those combined together will make a more lively and more full experience of having players really want to do the content and drive more players to do that content. So that's at least for 3.4.2. I want to kind of pass the baton off to Anna to speak to specifically RDF.
Random dungeon finder would really help. Stop pushing this pathetic LFG tool.
First, I mean, we want to recognize that RDF is being random dungeon finder, for those who don't know what RDF is. It's a very big topic of conversation in the community, right? It's been a topic since Grath was a launch. I do want to emphasize that RDF was not originally introduced in the game until 3.3. That was Ice Cream Citadel.
Whereas we all remember fondly the WoW token being introduced in Wrath of the Lich King, don't we? Oh, no, none of us do.
Is that RDF was not originally introduced in the game until 3.3. That was Ice Crown Citadel, the last of our patches. So we've been very, very clear that we're not, like, from the beginning of when we were thinking about graph plans, that we were not going to introduce RD before 3.4.3. That was like, definitely we're not doing it. That said, we have gone and seen like the implications of not having this tool, what it means for the players, what's going on, what is like the hardships of the community, like the topic that you're just bringing up, that is like, okay, players are focusing, like high-end players are focusing on doing the heroic, the Titan Rune dungeons, right? And like, where is the normal dungeons? Where are the people that are leveling? How can I find groups? And sometimes we realize that some people are having issues getting some of those groups together. So it is a topic that we are currently talking about in the team. We're not announcing anything here, nothing announcing today, but it's a topic of conversation that it's going on in the team at the moment.
Back on. Why not just announce it today? Like, just tell us, yeah, a random dungeon finder's coming in, because that would make a lot of people really happy. But how long do we actually accept this as a response? It is becoming a bit of a joke that it's like, oh, it wasn't like this originally in 3.3.5. It's like, we're not in 3.3.5. Feral's never had a glyph where you could get 100% proc chance on Omen of Clarity. Rep Paladins never had a glyph for Hand of Reckoning. Block chance worked wildly different on Anub Arak, as we all know. I don't know really why I emphasise these names. I think it's more to annoy some of you the way I actually say it. So, you know. The good news is they did say it's a topic that they're talking about in the team, but what is there to talk about? At this point, just add it into the game. Blizzard had a question then about how they felt about the difficulty. Kyvax had some stuff to say, whose camera must have broke because he was using it before, or maybe after his team saying it's not how it was back in the day for the millionth time, even he couldn't hold his laughter. So he probably thought it was best just to turn the camera off until his face didn't glow a very bright red. This guy, aka Tim Jones, also had some stuff to say, but ultimately they was happy that the content stayed relevant. But it is kinda hard for the only content available to not be relevant in its current phase. The big question should be, is it going to stay relevant during TOGC, when that was initially what they set out to do? That was, of course, before they added 10-man hard mode loot to Sidereal Essence, which you'll just be able to get from doing these beta rune dungeons, which should progress in difficulty but are actually easier than the alpha version. And of course, you can get 25-man Ulduar gear from 10-man Ulduar. So wait till we get on to talking about Valanir. Things started to get a bit too sexual at this point, and because I want the channel to stay child-friendly, we'll just move on to the next topic.
Extra hard, or Hodir and Iron Council have been touched up again.
Naughty Blizzard. What they basically said though was that they wanted to keep Ulduar relevant and made us all happy keeping everything pre-nerf, so we have challenging content for both 10 and 25 man. They are however hesitant to add any nerfs to Ulduar because they learnt from the hasty nerfs to tier 5 during TBC, so this was for Lady Vash and KT in particular. Again, this is actually really good. So expect them to communicate absolutely nothing and then nerf it into the ground in the next couple of days. All joking aside, this is actually quite interesting.
Yeah, so you're saying you're not going to nerf Ulduar for the next patch, but I was curious if you're considering adding skips for Ulduar. Sorry, not next Ulduar. If you're considering adding skips for Ulduar, similar to what was added for next Ramas when that phase ended, for people going back to target specific gear and such. So something like leaving the Vesax door open, for example, to let you target specific bosses rather than having to full clear.
It's definitely something we're considering. No promises here. We're always looking at ways of increasing the quality of life of players. I know we talked about this already, but like the Sidereal Essence is a direct response to trying to give quality of life to players that don't want to keep farming specific places for their entire lives.
Yep, let's not have people farm specific places that you specifically said you want to keep relevant.
Yeah, adding a skip might be in the cards. We're also looking at the rate at which Valanir shards drop. So we're definitely trying to get a good understanding of what the pain points for players are, and solving those issues where possible. I will say that it's not a trivial fix to just turn on all the teleporters or whatnot in Ulduar. There's certain logic that assumes that certain bosses are killed in a certain order and doors that open in a certain way. It's definitely doable, but yeah.
I do struggle to understand why everything has to be a participation reward nowadays, and why Blizzard do genuinely struggle with their own goals of, let's keep Ulduar relevant through Phase 3, but let's also make it so you can get Valinir quicker for your healers so you don't have to go back anymore. This is what I meant at the start of the video by all the contradictions. Like, I'm all for changes. You know, if Blizzard want to make changes, if they want to make Valinir easier to get, whatever. But don't completely counter what you've set out to do. Increasing Valinir fragment drop chances means you're going to get them quicker. You're only probably really bothered at this point of getting them on your healers, because there's going to be better weapons for your DPS, etc. from Trial of the Grand Crusader and beyond. So if in a few weeks you can knock out a Valinir and that's the last healer that needed it, you don't need to go back to Ulduar anymore. Even if there was one item for your casters like Flare that's Biss through Phase 3, are you bothered about doing a 2-hour clear, or however long it takes you, a 3-hour clear, to try and have a chance at getting Flare, which might not drop, when you could just wait till ICC comes out and get better trinkets anyway? I don't know.
Questions that can actually be one main question. It's about the low population realms. Are you planning on any merging, connecting, or additional free transfers? Thank you.
Yeah, so realm population, that's something that we take a look on a regular basis. It's something that we like ensure that like we're taking a look and trying to find when is like the best times to enable free transfers. Currently, we do have some free transfers available in Europe. That said, we do not have current plans on doing any consolidation or connection of the realms. But we are looking into potentially opening new free character transfers.
I was going to say something. When I'm live, ask me what I was going to say. So subscribe to the channel and make sure you catch me when I'm streaming live here on YouTube, and just ask me what I wanted to say at this point, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it, because even by my standards, it might have been a little bit harsh. But yeah, basically, no connected realms, no realm merges, like, you know, banging a few of them together, these low pop realms. It looks like free transfers is basically the only tool in their arsenal at the moment. When the loot changes for the PTR development notes were put up by Agrand, he was clear that Valinir frags would strictly still only come from 25-man. But when this question was asked...
And what about Valinir shards? Are they going to move on to 10-man or stay 25?
So we haven't landed on an answer just yet for that. We are still discussing what we want to do there.
Haven't landed on an answer yet. You'd literally told us a week ago that they will not come from 10-man, only 25. And now you're saying, well, actually, we're still talking about it. We're not sure. Ugh.
Tim also touched on that a little bit earlier, but
yeah,
we definitely know there's some quality of life improvements that could be made around Valinir and the fragments, but no answer today.
Okay, thank you.
And then bots were brought up, and I thought, well, this is going to be interesting. Spoiler alert, I was wrong.
Box yourself in with the last one.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a question from Valrisha.
If I can, I just want to talk about bots at the moment, just for a second. We've
Sure.
seen how, I'm not sure what exactly, as developers, what you do is related to, say, anti-cheat, but I feel like the anti-cheat in this game is pretty poor. We see bots fly hack and basically do whatever they want. What's the difficulties there that's making it difficult for that to be detected and banned?
We are constantly looking for people that breach the terms of service. Like, that's something that we're not happy about either, right? We want people to enjoy the game, and not people that like go around the terms of services and try to exploit the game, right?
Do you want people to enjoy the game, though?
Ways to combat this. We have a whole team that is like their whole purpose is to go and see how the players are interacting with the game and how we're available to find that they have done this, like that they have reached the terms of service and action them, right? That said, we also in team have added certain types of measurements that will help the team that is responsible for these to find these players that are like doing this kind of behaviors. I think like one of the difficulties that happened is like just like we go and find ways on how to detect these kind of players that are breaching the terms of services. They're also at the same time innovating on new ways on how to go around the ways that we put in to try to detect these servers. So it's kind of like a ongoing innovation from both sides, if you want to see it that way, from our side of trying to find these players and also from the players to try to go around and find new unique ways on how to play with the different tools that they have, right? That said, we do like just in the last 2 weeks, just in WoW accounts, we have banned more than 50K accounts in the last 2 weeks. They've been actioned. So it is something that is going on all the time. And please, if you see, like, I would like to encourage you to also, report them whenever you see them. I know that sometimes it can feel a little bit frustrating of like, but it's so obvious. Believe that we have a team that is currently looking into this, but yeah, it's something that we don't want either. So let's make it a team effort too.
Do any of you think it would have been easier if Anna here just said, "Don't know"?
We are in constant communication with our risk and other teams who are responsible for taking action against those accounts.
And after doing some research and actually seeing their risk team, I don't know about you, but I feel a lot better. Now, finally, if you're a warlock, I'm fairly sure this is going to make you pretty happy just to know that it's on their radar.
Yeah, so I was on a completely different topic. I was thinking about the ability resets on combat encounter ends. So you've added a lot of those, and going from Nax to Uldar, you added a few more. So I believe it was Fire Elementals and Army of the Dead that was being added. I was curious if you're going to look at that again for things like, for example, the Infernals from Warlocks, or possibly certain ratios and such resetting on encounter ends.
I haven't been part of the discussions on specifically what abilities should or shouldn't be reset by those, but obviously we're open to feedback, and we've made changes throughout the lifespan of the expansion. So we'll talk about Infernals and see if that's something we're willing to make a change on.
We sure do read the PTR forums. I always want to add players who are testing on the PTR and let us know about things that we might want to have a look at. We always take that feedback and make sure that the right folks in the design team are looking at it.
I'm guessing the folks on the design team live in the bin. I don't know, just a guess. But if you're a warlock, that will please you that you at least know it's on their radar. So who knows, we might see that change soon. I know for a fact that Big Kohu in my guild will be happy about this, because he's been wanting me to mention it in a video for about the last 3 months. So there you have it. I've just cherry-picked the bits that I think were worth sharing. If you want to watch the full interview without me in your headphones poking holes in it or making fun of it, then the link to the full conversation is in the description. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe. Consider joining the channel as a member, or if you plan on playing hardcore servers when they launch. Rested XP have got their hardcore survival guide available for pre-orders now, link in the pinned comment and a description below. See you on the next one. Whether you play Classic Era, Wrath, or even Retail, sometimes we just need a little bit of help. Some guidance on a rotation for an ult, or a quick breakdown of a boss before you pull, just to freshen up on those mechanics. Or maybe you're changing your profession and want a full breakdown of everything you need from the auction house and what to craft. I've got you covered. Warcraft Tavern has guides for every class and spec for both PvE and PvP. All profession guides with a massive attention to detail. Dungeon guides, raid guides, reputation guides, talent calculators, and amazing, I repeat, amazing database full with everything you could possibly imagine being present there, as well as some other cool things all in one place like server populations, holiday event guides, achievement guides, and so much more. There genuinely is so much, I wouldn't be able to cover it all in this small segment. I should mention the Dragonflight database as well if you're a retail player, but as you guys know, most of my time spent in Classic, so I just want to cover what's important. But thank you Warcraft Tavern for sponsoring the video. Let's carry on.